welcome to OVERDRIVE. I'm Rohit Paradkar. I'm just back after riding that. That is the new Royal Enfield Guerrilla 450. Now this is based on the Himalayan. I can't tell you much about the riding impressions right now. There will be a proper review for it on OVERDRIVE, so stay tuned for that. But in this one, I'm going to give you the walk around of this vehicle and tell you what differentiates it from the Himalayan, what are the new bits, and some of the technical details as well. So stay tuned all the way till the end. So let us begin with this motorcycle purely because that is the color in which I have ridden this bike. And now this is the Guerrilla 450. That's the name, right? So the cat is out of the box quite a while back. We have seen a lot of spy shots. Then we saw the teaser shots with Sid Lal himself riding it, and that is when they revealed the name as well. It's called the Guerrilla 450. It is based on the Sherpa platform. That's the Sherpa 450. Now you know that engine. You've seen it in the Himalayan. That's the 452cc engine. So that engine is literally taken from the Himalayan and put into this motorcycle without any changes. So there are a few tuning changes, but that's on a software level. But in terms of the hardware, not much has really changed. When I say not much, the only change, if you will, is in the rear, which is the sprocketing. So you get a 45 tooth rear sprocket instead of 47 that you get on the Himalayan. And the chassis, the main frame that holds the engine, this particular part, it's been in the news for all the wrong reasons right now, but that particular part which holds the engine, that is literally the only element of the chassis that the Guerrilla 450 shares with the Himalayan. The rest of the chassis suspension is different. So when I say different, this part is the same. The subframe is completely new. So what they have gone with is a narrower subframe. I'm going to show you that in a bit on a motorcycle that doesn't have the bodywork. But here, let's first talk about the bodywork. It looks more compact than the Himalayan, right? And that's because it is more compact than the Himalayan. One glance at the tech specs will tell you that it is a smaller vehicle. Now what it does is it retains the basic design of the Himalayan's tank. So what I mean by that is this panel right here is very much like what you've seen on the Himalayan. However, the tank itself is much smaller as well. Even the panels on the side, much more compact. This has got that scrambler kind of look at the back. So that is quite compact as well. Even the seat is going to be narrow and quite compact. So you can't really swap panels between the Himalayan and the Guerrilla 450 because this is going to be a much more compact unit. We are going to go to the chassis side to see exactly what all has changed and what makes it so compact. But in terms of the design details, your offset fuel filler, that remains as is. You'll get some really funky looking color options on this motorcycle. So the white is what you've seen here. Then you also see this red right here, which is a red and gold. Now a few spy shots had come out which revealed this color as well. So this is going to be the red and gold. You're going to get some gold and red pinstriping as well. You're going to get a contrasting red panel as well. A contrasting red mudguard as well. And that flows into half the tank and the rest of it is all gold. So that dual tone combination is what you get. So these are going to be the two top end motorcycles in that sense. Then the motorcycle that Sid Lal teased, that is going to be the white and blue color combination. So what you will see here is the blue chassis. The chassis elements, rather the subframe is blue, the wheel is blue as well, and then you get some pinstriping on the tank. So the yellow that we saw there, this is the top end. The other mid-range variant is going to be that. So that is going to be your black color with the red and golden stripes on there, and the red and gold. But let's also take a look at the absolute base. So this is going to be the base model, and if you don't like too many colors, if you don't like gaudy stuff, this is probably what will catch your fancy. So that Himalayan sculpting on the tank, or maybe that signature style that we've seen with the Himalayan, like I said, that continues here to establish that familial connection. But this is not an adventure bike, this is not a scrambler, this is a roadster, and the form should tell you that. And this is going to be the matte silver option. This is going to be the absolute base model. And the only differences here, apart from the color of course, are that the base model gets the tripper navigation and the console from the Meteor. So this is essentially coming from the Meteor, as is whereas the top end and the mid-range variants are going to get you the same TFT dash that you get on the Himalayan. So that is going to be your primary differentiator for this. The tire sizes, the wheel sizes, all of that remains common across the entire range, no matter what variant you choose. So essentially it's only the colors and the instrumentation, right? So now moving on, let's head to the chassis element, where they've literally just, or the chassis booth, where they have shown us the entire chassis, and this is where I will tell you what the main differences are. So like I said, this is more compact than the Himalayan. So for beginners, what you get is a much sharper rake angle. So if you look at the front, you get a 4-degree sharper rake angle compared to the Himalayan. This is at 21.8 degrees, and then you get a 91 millimeter trail, which is 27 millimeters shorter than the Himalayan. So that is what gives it this absolutely almost upright and tucked in front end. And then the ground clearance has also reduced by a good 61 millimeters. So now you get a ground clearance of 169 millimeters, right? So it's still very good for Indian conditions is what I believe, but yeah, it is a 61 millimeter drop compared to the Himalayan. So the overall length is also going to be lesser. In fact, the length is down by 155 millimeters, right? So this is about 2.1 meters long now, but with the tighter rake and a shorter swing arm, okay, the swing arm length has also reduced a bit. So with the shorter swing arm, you now get a shorter wheelbase as well, right? So the wheelbase is down by a good 70 millimeters, because like I said, this is a roadster, so it needs sharper handling characteristics, right? So they have reduced the overall wheelbase of the motorcycle by a good 70 millimeters over the Himalayan. The other bit that has changed is also the seat height. So the standard seat height for the Himalayan, compared to that, 45 millimeters, that is how much it has dropped. But what you will also notice is that there is no bracket over here. On the Himalayan, you basically have a bracket which allows you different seat heights, right? You can't do that customization here. It's going to be one fixed seat height, and that's going to be at 780 millimeters. Then of course there are the accessory packs where you can go for a taller seat, a flatter seat, etc. So those options will be revealed later, or maybe added later. So those options are going to be there, but the seat that you buy cannot be adjusted for height the way it can be on the Himalayan. What do you think about that? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, for now, the stock seat height, let me just show you the bike again. The stock seat height is going to be 780 millimeters, and that's the flat seat I was talking about. You get this as one of the options. We'll come to the accessories in a bit. Now let's also talk about the weight. So the weight has reduced also because of all of the shorter chassis and all of that, and the smaller suspension, lesser travel, etc. So the weight of the motorcycle is down by about 7 kilos dry weight. If you are considering all the fluids, then it's down by 11 kilos. So you're getting it about 185 kilos. That's essentially what the weight is going to be. The fuel tank, like I showed you, is compact as well, right? So it is now an 11-liter fuel tank. So there, I'll just show you the fuel tank once again. So it's an 11-liter fuel tank. So the capacity is down by 6 liters compared to the Himalayan, right? So with all the fluids, the bike is going to be about 185 kilos, but it still has a fairly similar payload capacity of 191 kilos. That's only 7 kgs down over the Himalayan. So if you still want to go touring with the motorcycle, you want to go tour-up riding with your luggage and everything, the payload capacity is still 191 kilos, which is pretty decent in my opinion. Now you'll have to maybe look at different seat options or whatever, but yeah, you are still going to be able to go touring with it if you so desire. If you don't want that big adventure bike, you want a roadster, but with that Himalayan engine, and you want to go touring, you can do that. This motorcycle very nicely shows that off. These are going to be your accessories. There is this ribbed seat, which still maintains the curvature of the standard seat. The standard seat can be seen here. And then you also have that flat seat that we saw on that motorcycle. So the rib seat is here, the standard seat is right there. Then you have different accessories, protection parts, etc. like this protector for the radiator. You have this guard for the headlights. You have this little visor if you so need. It's installed over there on that motorcycle. Then you also have these leg guards, right? If you want something beefier, there you have the bigger leg guard as well. Now some of this can be swapped or interchanged with the Himalayan, some of it, because like I said, the mounting point for the engine and the mainframe of the chassis is going to be the same, but some of the other stuff you probably will not be able to do, like these bar end mirrors, etc., or those mirrors. We have seen that on other Royal Enfield motorcycles as well. So you see the adjustable mirror stocks here, and these are going to be your stock mirrors on this motorcycle. You can also get those bar end mounted mirrors that you see on the white bike right here, right? So these are going to be some of the accessories. Now these kind of accessories are obviously swappable between different motorcycles in Royal Enfield's portfolio, but you get a fair idea of what you can get. So there are 2-seat options, like I said. There is also going to be a host of other accessories that may be introduced at a later stage. We usually see that with Royal Enfield. They've also obviously introduced new gear to go with it, with the Guerrilla branding, etc. There are going to be a few new jackets as well that they will add to the list. There is this multi-purpose vest, for example. Then there is this leather jacket. There are a few of these jerseys, which in the current Spanish weather is perfect. The perforated jersey will work great in India as well. And then you also have this new jacket. It's called the Crossroader jacket. It's a mesh touring jacket of sorts. You get these mesh panels right here, and then these zippers can be opened for even more ventilation. There's some mesh here as well, and then you get this titanium outer shoulder protector, and then there are going to be Knox protectors for the back, for the elbows, for the shoulders, and even for the chest. So that's a new jacket that they are introducing with the Guerrilla 450. So these are the quick details that I can give you about the motorcycle at the moment. Like I said, the engine is carried over unchanged from the Himalayan, which means it still puts out 40 PS, 40 Newton meters of torque, etc. It's also coming in at approximately the same RPM. The tuning, like I said, is slightly different to give you a slightly better low end. That is what they've aimed to achieve. Does it really work well on the road? Does the character feel any different from the Himalayan? Something that I'm going to talk about in my review. But if you have any questions about it, do drop it in the comments below. Like I said, the tank is smaller, so you also see this panel that has been added in front of it. The headlight is an LED unit, standard across all the 3 variants, and you see the space here, and that is because you can simply just loosen these bolts a little bit and adjust the angle of the headlight. Then you also get this instrumentation. I already showed you the instrumentation on the base model. This is going to be the same TFT instrumentation that you get on the Himalayan, but you get the Guerrilla logo when it boots up. Otherwise, the layout and everything remains the same. Functionality more or less remains the same as well, but they have updated their app now, so you can also now do your own trails, your own rides, and then record all of that, export it as a GPX file, and share it with your friends. So if they have a Himalayan or a Guerrilla, they can simply just use that GPX, import it in their Royal Enfield app, and get the same navigation or same route that you planned, and then they can just go for that same ride if they so wish. If they make any changes, they can also record it, again send you back the GPX file, so all that happens. So after the Guerrilla comes out, the app will be live, and then you will be able to use all of these GPX files, etc., this functionality with the Himalayan as well. So that is going to be the additional bit. There is also something called Wingman. So it's a Bluetooth module that you can add to the motorcycle, a hardware module that you can add to the motorcycle, and then you will be able to get connected tech. So essentially you will be able to see your motorcycle health, fuel, trip, all that data from your phone, something similar to what we've seen on some of the other vehicles as well, right? So those kind of things are now here. Now let's talk about the suspension. The suspension is again different than the Himalayan. Of course, that's an adventure bike. It's got 200 millimeters of travel. This is going to give you 140 millimeters of front end travel, 150 millimeters of wheel travel. So that is what they have changed. So obviously the fork legs are much smaller on this one, and the monoshock, while the hardware is primarily the same as the Himalayan, on the Guerrilla the angle is slightly different, right? So that is going to be the other change. In terms of brakes also, you will see a difference. So this one now gets a 310 millimeter front disc compared to a 320 on the Himalayan. So that is going to be the other change. The rear brake remains the same. The ABS tuning is different. The suspension tuning is slightly different as well. Of course, and when I say tuning, it's not the travel that I'm talking about. The tuning of the suspension is different. That is something again that I'm going to point out in my review. So that is the Guerrilla for you. Let me know what you think about the pricing. Let me know what you think about its differences compared to the Himalayan. Let me know what do you think about the colors. Which color do you like the most? What do you think about the accessories? And whatever questions you have about the vehicle, put them in the comments below. I'm putting together my review right now as you are watching this video. So if there are any questions that you want me to answer in that review, put them in the comments, or you can DM them to us and we'll answer them in our review. Thank you so much for watching this one. Until the next one, take care and ride safe.